Well, we continue to track the big international story. The Ukraine government has said that the lives of 42,000 people are at risk after a major dam in Kherson was destroyed, unleashing a flood of water. While Ukraine has accused Russia for blowing up the strategically important dam, Russia says Ukraine indulged in deliberate sabotage. We're now joined by Brian Bonner, Senior Editor at Geopolitical Intelligence Services. Mr. Bonner, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. Let's start by talking about the immediate implications of what has transpired in Ukraine. Evacuations underway, but what is it likely to mean in terms of the people who find themselves in the heart of this incident?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm coming from Kyiv. What we have here is hopefully not much loss of life, but we have a lot of loss of property. We have an ecocide going on. We have, toxic chemicals, oil, everything being washed away, big flooded area, people unable to evacuate from the Russian side, reports, and people on the Ukrainian side of the divide are being shot at by Russian forces. So we have a mess there, and it's going to, eventually the waters will recede, but they're peaking today, and I don't think we're going to know the full extent of the damage until after that happens.
Yes, we will have to wait to see. But Mr. Bonner, many experts suggest that this could be a turning point in the current strategic approach as far as the conflict is concerned between Russia and Ukraine. Now, as far as Russia is concerned, this means that there could be significant impact on Russia's ability to continue to hold on to Crimea and what this means for Crimea. On the Ukrainian side, the summer offensive that was being planned and was underway, what will that mean now for the counteroffensive that was being planned?
Well, I think the counteroffensive will go through, and I have to step back. There's a lot of false equivalency going on here. First of all, Russia invaded the sovereign territory of Ukraine. They controlled 20%. Part of that 20% includes the hydropower dam that was blown up in an explosion. It was done by Russia. The evidence will show it's done by Russia. There was no artillery. We have it coming in at an explosion from the inside, which Russia controls, Russia mined. The president of Ukraine warned all the way back in October that this was going to happen. It happened. These are Ukrainians who are suffering. This is Ukrainian land that is suffering. And the next big thing that the world needs to watch for, which Ukraine has warned, is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which was stolen by Russia along with the rest of the 20% of Ukraine. And that's where the next big catastrophe, ecological and human catastrophe, could happen. So we have that. That said, I mean, obviously, it's going to divert. There's not going to be any crossing at that point. But if you look along the lines, the goal remains the same, and hopefully everybody, including India, will get behind this goal of restoring Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. And there's a lot of still other places in which the offensive will take place. Obviously, I'm not privy to that, but the end goal remains the same, which is this war could be over today, tomorrow, if Russia would just leave Ukraine alone.
Well, you're right in pointing out that the goal remains the same as far as Ukraine is concerned, which is to get Russia to leave its sovereign territory. But what do you expect now in terms of strategy from Russia, given where we find ourselves?
Well, I expect more of these destructive tactics. All Ukrainians do. Russians have shown they have no regard for international law, for human life, for Ukrainians. They've destroyed city after city, killed tens of thousands of people. We're not going to know until Ukraine gets back into those territories exactly the extent. Russia's trying to wipe Ukraine off the map. Russia doesn't believe Ukraine exists as a separate country. This is really, really genocide of the 21st century. But, to your question, this, as I understand from military experts, this was not going to be a likely crossing point for the counteroffensive, because the Dnipro River, which is our, Ukraine's big river, I'm an American, so I compare it to America's Mississippi. It was very wide. So there's going to have to be other areas, and unfortunately, there's plenty of other avenues to attack along what is a 1,000-kilometer front line.
Brian Bonner, appreciate you joining us to take us through where things currently stand in Ukraine and, more importantly, what the road ahead possibly could look like. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. We will take a break here on Business 360. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a minute with the news.